Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be focusing on learning English. And you know how we always say practice makes perfect?
Right.
Well, that's especially true when you're just starting out with a new language. And today we're going to be using some super easy words and phrases.
Yeah, really breaking it down.
Yeah. So think of this as like your first step into the world of English conversation.
Exactly.
And to help us with this deep dive, we have an expert in teaching English to beginners.
Hi, everyone. I'm thrilled to be here.
So you ready to break down some simple shopping phrases?
Absolutely. It's amazing how a few basic phrases can really help you feel more comfortable when you're shopping, especially in a new place.
Okay then, let's jump right in. Today's deep dive is titled At the Gift Shop, Mastering Simple Shopping Phrases.
Sounds fun.
To make it even more fun, we're going to act out a short dialogue. Just imagine we're in a gift shop, looking
Yeah.
for that perfect present.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Me too. You'll be Ella and I'll be Alex. Ready? Ready? Okay, let's begin. Hi, Ella.
Hi, Alec.
This teddy bear is so cute.
How much is it?
It's $20.
That's too expensive.
Look at this small one. It's cheaper.
How much is the small one?
It's only $10. That was a fun little shopping trip.
It was.
And you know what's fascinating to me is how much we can learn from a short conversation like that.
Absolutely. It's packed with useful words and phrases that are perfect for beginners.
But before we go any further, I just want to highlight that the dialogue we just heard, that's our source material for this deep dive.
Yeah, we're going to break it down.
We're going to use it to explore some really important basic English words and phrases. So let's break down what we just heard.
Great idea.
First, let's look at some of the key words we heard. Expensive, cheap, and of course, teddy bear.
Those are all super common words. You'll hear them all the time, especially when you're out shopping.
Okay, so let's start with expensive. What does it mean?
Expensive means something costs a lot of money, like a big house is expensive or a fancy car.
Right. And what about cheap?
Cheap is the opposite. It means something doesn't cost a lot of money, like a candy bar is cheap or a pencil.
And a teddy bear. I think everyone knows what that is.
Of course, it's a soft, cuddly toy that's perfect for a gift, especially for children.
Now let's move on to some of the phrases we heard. They're like building blocks for making longer sentences. What really stood out to you from the dialogue?
Well, the first phrase that pops out is, how much is it? This is an essential question to know. When you're shopping, you want to know the price of something.
You can use that phrase for anything in a store, right? Clothes, food, anything at all.
Yeah, just point at what you're interested in and say, how much is it?
Easy. And I think that's too expensive is another really important one. I mean, we've all been, sometimes things just cost more than we're willing to pay.
Absolutely. It's a polite way to say that you think the price is too high.
And if you're trying to be helpful, like Alex was in the dialogue, you could say, look at this one. It's cheaper.
That's a great way to suggest a more affordable option.
Now, let's look a little closer at the phrase, how much is the small one? What's interesting about this phrase?
Well, here we're adding a little more detail to our question. We're not just asking how much is it, we're specifying which item we want to know the price of, the small one.
So we're being more specific.
Exactly. And being specific helps to avoid confusion, which is always a good thing when you're learning a new language.
Let's repeat those key phrases again, just to make sure they stick in our minds. How much is it?
How much is it?
That's too expensive.
That's too expensive.
Look at this one. It's cheaper.
Look at this one. It's cheaper.
Great repetition is key, especially when you're starting out. It helps those new words and phrases become more natural. But before we go any further, I have another question. In the dialogue, we heard Alex say, It's only $10. What do you think he meant by using the word only there?
That's a great observation. Using only in this way emphasizes that the price is low. It's like saying, this is a really good deal.
That makes sense. It adds a bit of excitement to the statement. It's only $10.
Exactly. It shows that Alex is happy about finding a good price.
Okay, let's take a quick pause here.
Hmm.
We've already covered so much. We've looked at key vocabulary like expensive, cheap, and teddy bear, and we've broken down some essential shopping phrases like how much is it? And that's too expensive. But we're just getting started. We have so much more to explore in this deep dive.
It's amazing how much you can learn from even a short dialogue like this, and there's still so much more to unpack.
Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll continue to break down this shopping scenario and discover even more useful phrases and tips for mastering basic English conversation.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into practical English. We'll be covering a wide range of topics, all designed to help you build confidence and fluency. Welcome back to our deep dive. I'm excited to keep going with these useful English phrases.
Me too. Let's imagine ourselves back in that gift shop. We're surrounded by, colorful souvenirs and interesting toys. And maybe you see a beautiful scarf that would be perfect gift for a friend.
What a great idea. Remember that phrase we talked about earlier?
You mean, can I see that one?
Exactly. You can use that phrase to ask the shop assistant to show you something specific.
And you can be even more specific, right, by saying something like, can I see that blue scarf? Or can I see that scarf with the flowers on it?
Right. The more specific you are, the better the shop assistant will understand what you want.
And after you've seen the scarf and decided you like it, what's the next step?
Well, if you want to buy it, you can just say, I'll take it. It's a simple way to let the cashier know you're ready to purchase.
It's interesting how these phrases work, like a little recipe for a conversation.
That's a great way to put it. They're like the ingredients you need to create a successful shopping experience.
Now let's go back to our dialogue for a moment. I noticed that Alex and Ella used very simple language. Their sentences were short and easy to understand.
That's a really important point. When you're learning a new language, it's best to start with simple words and phrases.
So you don't need to worry about using, complex grammar right away.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to keep it simple. As you learn more, you can gradually add more complex words and structures.
It's like building a tower with blocks. You
Yeah.
start with a strong base, and then you add more blocks on top one by one.
I love that analogy. It perfectly illustrates the language learning process. You don't need to build the whole tower at once. Just focus on laying a solid foundation first.
And remember, even native English speakers, we use simple language most of the time.
That's true. The most important thing is to communicate clearly and be understood.
So for all of our listeners who are just starting their English journey, keep it simple, keep it clear, and don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Absolutely, mistakes are a natural part of learning. Embrace them.
So far in this deep dive, we've explored key vocabulary like expensive and cheap.
Mhm.
We've learned how to ask, how much is it, and what to say if something is too expensive. We've even practiced asking to see an item and telling the cashier we're ready to buy. Are you ready for more?
Definitely, there's always more to learn when it comes to English.
Stay tuned for part 3, where we'll explore even more useful phrases and tips to help you master basic English conversations.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more deep dives like this one. We're here to support you every step of the way on your English learning journey.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into simple shopping phrases.
I'm so glad you're still with us.
We've covered so much ground already, but I feel like there's always more to learn when it comes to English. Yeah,
No, absolutely. Learning a language is a journey, not a destination.
I love that. So before we wrap up, what is one final piece of advice you would give to our listeners who are just starting out with English?
Hmm, that's a great question. I think the most important thing is to not be afraid to practice.
Practice makes perfect, right?
Exactly. The more you use English, even
Yeah.
if it's just, a few simple phrases, the more confident you'll become.
I remember when I first started traveling to different countries, I was so nervous to speak the local language, but I realized that people were actually really happy when I tried.
That's so true. People really appreciate it when you make an effort to communicate in their language. Even if you make mistakes, they'll usually be understanding and helpful.
And sometimes those mistakes can even lead to some pretty funny stories.
Absolutely. I've had so many amusing experiences while learning new languages, all thanks to, you know, a few mispronounced words or grammatical errors.
It's all part of the fun. So,
Yeah.
for all of our listeners out there who are feeling a little hesitant or nervous about speaking English, just remember to take a deep breath and go for it.
You can do it.
I have a little challenge for our listeners before we finish up.
Oh, I love challenges. Tell me more.
I challenge each of you to use at least one of the phrases we've learned today in a real life situation.
What a fantastic idea. It could be at a store, a restaurant, or even just with a friend.
The point is to just put those new skills into practice. You might be surprised at how easy it is to start using these phrases naturally.
And if you do use one of the phrases, be sure to come back and tell us about it in the comments. We'd love to hear your experiences.
And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into At the Gift Shop, mastering simple shopping phrases. We started with a simple dialogue. We broke it down, word by word, and we explored some essential phrases for beginner English learners.
We hope you found this deep dive helpful and encouraging.
If you enjoyed this episode and want to continue your English learning journey with us, don't forget to subscribe to The Deep Dive for more deep dives like this one.
We'll be exploring a variety of topics, all designed to help you build confidence and fluency in English.
Thanks for joining us, and until next time, happy learning.
Thanks for joining the conversation here at Kaz English. We hope you found it fun and informative. Don't forget to check out kazapp.uk. That's kazapp.uk for more tips, resources, and interactive practice. Keep exploring, keep chatting, and we'll catch up with you again soon.